Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, thanks for joining us today for our webinar, Cleantech 101. My name is Ryan Reed. I'm Client Services Manager at BioNB, and joining me today, I'm very honored to have Megan Seagrave, Executive Director, join me. She's actually going to be presenting today. So Megan, you can say hi to everyone out there.
Hi, everyone.
I think most of you know Megan. I've spoken to her. So I'm just going to quickly go through the administration, then we'll jump right into the webinar. It's that time of the year. It's right before Christmas. It's the afternoon. We're just going to relax and have some fun with this. For those of you who don't know us, BioNB, we're the Provincial Bioscience Agency, been around for 20 years. We support researchers and entrepreneurs in developing their businesses, and we work with about 40 startups directly at the moment in helping them commercialize technologies. We're going to do our presentation, Q&A, but we'll do the presentation for 30 minutes. We might go a little bit longer because there's a fair bit of good content here, and I think it's really important to get this across. We are going to send the slides, and Megan's going to send resources, a PDF full of all the resources. You don't have to take notes. We're not going to sit on slides and read them for 5 minutes. We're just going to skim the surface. Really what we want to do is set up some conversations after this. If you've got a question, just go to the questions tab in the webinar panel on the right side of the screen and just type that in. And we'll get to the questions at the end, but send them throughout. That's no problem. That doesn't distract us. And we also have other webinars on our website that you can check out. This will also be posted later this week to our website. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Megan.
Hi, folks. Hope you can hear me. I've got a bit of a raspy voice, but we're going to just power through it. So this webinar is it's really about defining clean tech and taking a look at a lot of the funding mechanisms and programs that are coming down the pipe. Some of them have already been opened up. Some are yet to be put out in the public domain, and how we can take advantage of them regionally, provincially, etc. And in terms of a roadmap to get companies started, I'll do a quick slide at the very end to sort of say this is how we think we can help you access or gain access to individually or collectively some of the clean tech monies coming down the pipe. All right, so what is clean tech? We put this slide up to give you an idea of all of the opportunities around clean tech, everything from energy generation to energy storage to bio-based materials, manufacturing, agriculture, recycling, waste, you name it. There's a couple of definitions that we've embedded in here, one from ACOA, the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, and the other one from SDTC, which is Sustainable Development Technology Canada. Every department actually has every federal department has a slightly different definition of clean tech, but you'll see some commonalities between them. And in essence, you can actually drive a truck through most of them. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about, do I have a project that might qualify as clean tech, or have I got products that might qualify as clean tech, and where can I fit in? Investments and activities that foster development of a clean economy, products and processes and services that improve environmental performance. And it's often associated with things like wind, water, soil, oil production, using less water, producing less waste, efficiencies around heating and cooling systems, waste stream transformations. It is really quite broad. If you've got questions around whether or not your project might qualify for funding under any one of these clean tech funding umbrellas, you can start by asking us, and then we'll try and put you in touch with some of those individual line departments. The other thing I'll sort of mention is you're going to see a lot of acronyms throughout this presentation. Don't worry about it. We will, as Ryan said, this is going to be recorded. You'll be able to access it. We'll send the slides out, and we're going to send out a PDF that adds more detail to at least the programs that we know of moving forward. I suspect there will be additional ones And we will try and keep that updated on our website, and we will try and put the calls out, whether it's for projects or proposals or letters of intent, as we see them coming in as well. Where did this all stem from? The Paris Agreement in 2015 and COP21. These are the drivers around all of the clean tech money that is basically coming down the pipe, both provincially and federally. And it was all around lowering carbon emissions, fostering a low carbon economy, and mobilizing investments in clean tech. So that just gives you a little bit of a background. The budget 2017, there's been over $3 billion dedicated to clean tech investments. And over the next decade or 10 years, the federal government is essentially putting about $22 billion towards provincial and federal clean tech initiatives. Everything from infrastructure to reducing greenhouse gases to climate change adaptation, you name it. And it's all working towards reducing our carbon footprint towards the 2030 goals. Most of what we're going to talk about today is around products and not necessarily services. And there's one exception, and I'll mention that as we start to talk through that moving forward. All right, so let's get into what some of these programs are going to look like. Provincially, New Brunswick has already met its COP21 targets, although there's no specific New Brunswick funding components for clean tech. There are things that we can do in terms of leveraging federal programs, and a handful of the federal programs actually need provincial contributions to them. So keep that in mind, and I will mention that as we start to outline some of those programs. A good example is NRCan's Financial Incentives by Provinces program, where within New Brunswick, we've got NB Power, which is a mechanism for programs related to energy smart retrofit, home insulation, and small business lighting programs. So those are subsidy programs for businesses and private homes that you can access through NB Power. There's also been a significant amount of federal dollars that have been transferred in terms of transfer payments for each of the provinces. Within New Brunswick, most of that money has been earmarked around infrastructure-based projects. But there are projects that the province will look at strategically within New Brunswick to help align with some of the federal funding programs that are out there. All right, so getting into where the bulk of the money is essentially around the federal programs. The federal government is putting an initiative together that they're calling the Clean Growth Hub, expected to launch early 2018. And this is essentially going to be a front door clearinghouse for clean tech funding program initiatives across line departments within the federal government. I can name about 10 different departments that are going to be sort of collaborating on this. So if you think you've got a project coming into play, their role is essentially to facilitate an understanding of the initiatives that are across government and how your particular project might be able to fit into it. They will have a physical storefront in Ottawa, I've been told. But in order, before you kind of reach out to them, feel free to come through us. Make sure that you have an ask ready. You have a project in mind, you understand the costs and the budgets and the timelines with regards to that project, whether it is an individual project or whether it's a large collective project. So let's get into the meat of it. These are some of the line departments that, and some of the acronyms that you're going to see throughout this particular webinar. You don't have to worry about these. I'll tell you what some of them are related to. They're essentially acronyms that we use on a daily basis for different federal departments. But this gives you an idea of where the clean tech funding and program streams lie across all of these departments. As you can see, NRC has a significant amount. ISED, which is Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, and that's where our COA falls under, also has a significant amount. But don't dismay about groups like AAFC, which is Agriculture, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. There's program funding for Cleantech that is going to be coming down through the provinces under that department as well. All right, let's start getting into some of these programs. Feel free to send along any questions. I may or may not be able to answer all of them. And don't worry about taking too many notes because, as I said, we've put all of this into a PDF with a little bit more detail, and you can start to look at them yourself. Maybe before I go any further, because the next 10 slides are really dedicated to different programs out there. Some of these programs are, contributing 33-cent dollars, 50-cent dollars, or 75-cent dollars. Most of them will not be wholly funded. They're very broad in some cases, and in some cases they're very focused and targeted. So you may qualify for one, you may not qualify for another. Some of them are open and some of them are soon to be open. You can see with this clean growth one, the letter of intent submission deadline is February 17th. All of the programs that we're going to go through to the end are national in scope. And you need to keep that in mind because it might look, in this case, like there's a lot of money sitting on the table, which there is for each of these programs. But you'll be competing, whether it's individually or collectively around projects, against companies and collectives across the country. So your application could be one of 80, it could be one of 200, it could be one of 1,000. So let us help you piece some of these together. So Clean Growth and Natural Resources Program. This is an NRCan program, and it is focused around Indigenous organizations, for-profits and not-for-profit groups, federal research centers, community groups, and academia. The key piece here is funding will be allocated to projects that also receive support from provincial funds. So before you pitch this project into NRCan, you need to go through the provincial government here in New Brunswick first. There are 5 focus areas for this particular program: reducing greenhouse gas and air emissions, minimizing landscape disturbances and waste management, advanced materials and bioproducts, efficient energy, and reducing water use and impacts on aquatic ecosystems. And you can pitch 2 types of projects in your letter of intent, either a demonstration project or an R&D project. And you can see the monetary allotments there, 50-cent dollars up to a max, or 75-cent dollars up to a max. So the next one is the Energy Innovation Program. This is a $25 million NRCan program. It's got an ongoing intake, and recipients are, as you can see on the left-hand side, eligible electricity and gas utilities, industry associations, companies, academic institutions, provincial governments. This one is really broad. The projects that have been funded to date tend to be more around utility focused or conversion technologies, demonstration technologies, or environmental technologies. There's, if you click on the link that's on here, you can take a look at the application guide and walk through the application guide to see what might fit or make sense. As I said, the program's really broad. It is an ongoing intake. And these are larger based projects. Take a look at the ones that have already been funded so that you can have an idea of where you fit. This is also a program where engineering groups can put applications into play as well. ISED, so this is Innovation, Science, and Economic Development. This is their Innovation Solutions program, $50 million. It's a challenge-based program, so this one's kind of unique in that they are seeking solutions for specific programs. And it's also using the federal government as the first user, or I guess sort of your first contact and first sale. There's 20 participating federal departments and agencies that have funding set aside to essentially purchase technologies. But it's around very specific challenges that need to be solved. So over on the right-hand side, you can see that it's going to be open January 22nd. You do have to subscribe to receive information. You can see a list of the current challenges. So it's essentially, these are problems that need to be solved by our federal government departments who may want to purchase your technology. And you do have to create a profile online to continue to access that information, receive new updates and challenges. But it's open. I think it's going to be a little bit like, I'm anticipating it'll be a little bit like the BCIP program, but specifically around innovative solutions for clean tech. The Strategic Innovation Fund program. This is massive, but it's also very broad. And it's actually a combination of existing federal programs that have been combined together. It's around two separate streams or two groups of streams. So one stream is for-profit corporations, small, medium, large. The second stream is around consortiums. So that's groups. And they can include universities, colleges, research institutions, for-profits, not-for-profits, and industry groups. This program was launched. In early 2017. There's no submission deadline, but the applications for streams 1 to 3 are continuous intake, and there's going to be a call for stream 4, which is the consortium-based one, expected early 2018. There's a program guide that's going to be developed for Stream 4, and if you take a look at the link here, when we send out the PDF, you can get details on exactly what the application process looks like for all of those. It might look like a massive pot of money, but remember that these programs are cross-country, so your project could be competing with hundreds or more. Impact Canada Clean Tech Fund. So this is another NRCan program, Natural Resources Canada. And this one's also unique because it's prize-based, looking for unique solutions. So this is about 2 very distinct challenges that the federal government is looking to have an impact on: making lives better for northern and remote communities, and reducing aviation GHG emissions. If you are a private entity, industry, if you are academia, or if you're a non-governmental NGO, then you have the opportunity to apply for funding under this particular initiative. And you can take a look at the examples under the program column here. Off diesel for remote communities, reduction of GHG emissions, tidal power, feedstocks for biofuel, carbon remediation, etc. This initiative should be launched early 2018, and you can follow the link in the PDF once we get there, once we send the PDF. SDTC. So for those of you who are familiar with Sustainable Development Technology Canada, they have a couple of different funds. This is their SD Tech Fund. I'll mention that these applications are very competitive. They're about demonstration technologies. They're 33-cent dollars. You have to find the other matching 66. There's an assumption that as an industry proponent, you are putting part of that 66 on the table. In some cases, our federal groups like ACOA and or our provincial agencies will help support some of that. The private sector contribution must be a minimum of 25% of eligible costs, and some of that can be in kind. As I mentioned, these are demonstration projects. This is a continuous intake process. The application for SDTC is not for the faint of heart. If you want help with this, contact us and we will help try and walk you through it. You really need a team dedicated to putting these things together. There's other SDTC funds that are specific province by province. I believe there's a call for BC, an SDTC BC fund. And I only throw that out there. I'll just go back for a second. I throw that out there because New Brunswick-based companies can actually pitch technologies into these other provinces, and those provincial governments will actually put some dollars on the table from a technology adoption perspective. And we have seen cases of that. I believe Mariner was an example of a technology that was adopted out in Alberta. All right. Agriculture Clean Tech Program. We don't have a lot of details on this. It's still under development, but it's essentially going to be run through the province's next policy framework under DAF and AFC. So these are federal dollars that are going to get transferred through Department of Agriculture, Aquaculture, and Fisheries to up their specific programming around transforming waste streams, low carbon outputs, bio-based products, energy and chemicals, reducing nitrous oxide emissions, precision ag, and developing specific ag biomass supply chains. The program guide for this is currently in development and expected to be launched early April when the new fiscal year for the federal government comes around. You can take a look at some additional ag funding programs through this link. We don't have a link specifically to what that next policy framework and where that $25 million is going to go to yet, but when we do, we'll update it in our funding navigator on the BioNB.org website. All right, fisheries and aquaculture, Cleantech adoption. This one actually just got announced, I think it was a day or two ago. So $20 million over 4 years, dedicated specifically to fisheries and aquaculture and improving environmental performance and day-to-day operations. Commercial enterprises can access this money, Indigenous organizations, industry or professional associations. The key here is there must be 10% provincial funding secured for any of these projects. And the program is essentially 75-cent dollars towards eligible costs. So it's phenomenal. But again, you're competing across the country for these projects. So keep that in mind. It's currently open. Expression of interests can be put through to the DFO website. And we're happy to try and help guide or bring coalitions together around this particular type of project because there's a great opportunity within Atlantic Canada to participate. I've only got a couple more slides to go. I put a couple of slides in here, one to talk a little bit about some other funding programs that are out there like BDC, so Business Development Canada. EDC is Export Development Canada, Global Affairs Canada, and then the Trade Commissioner Service and NRC IRAP. There are other programs out there, but I highlighted these because there's a clear focus on clean tech within these pots of money. So BDC is really around venture capital catalysts. It's increasing late-stage venture capital available to entrepreneurs who are developing clean technology projects and products. EDC, Export Development Canada, is around equity financing and capital-intensive projects, supporting project financing around there. But I guess what I want to get across here is there's a clear initiative for clean tech. So if you have a clean tech project and you're already doing some export and you need some support on either the capital, the financing, whether it's working capital, whether it's equity financing, etc., EDC is a great place to go. I threw in Global Affairs here because they've got continuous intakes on programs like Going Global, but there's also a focus around clean tech export projects. So if you are not familiar with Global Affairs projects or programs, we can put you in touch with the folks within the region. But if you've got a clean tech project and you are looking at opening up new markets, there's what we call GAC funding, Global Affairs Canada funding, that can help you do that. The last one I put down here was Trade Commissioner Service and NRC IRAP. These programs have existed for a number of years. One I put in was CIIP, Canadian International Innovation Program. Part of the reason why I mentioned this is about supporting collaborative industrial research and development projects between Canada and other country partners. There's a list of these partners, everything from Israel to India to China, you name it. But the focus around some of these international partner countries is around clean tech. So if you've got a clean tech project and you are looking for industrial either research or development partners that you know exist within any of these other partner countries, the likelihood of your project kind of making it to the top of the list increases exponentially because it has a clean tech focus. All right. There's some CBDC funding around Cleantech initiatives for rural businesses. CBDC is mostly repayable loans, but again, if you are a rural business and you've got Cleantech projects, they might be a good opportunity or mechanism for you. A couple of other ones here. If you happen to be a municipality or you are looking at implementing a technology within a municipal framework, there's the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and the Municipalities for Climate Innovation Programs. And these are really great because they can actually support feasibility studies, plans, and grants for municipalities to get pilot projects and large capital projects up and running around clean technology. If you're trying to sell into a municipality, it's good for you to know that these programs exist, because the municipalities can essentially get funding to pay for feasibility studies and pilot projects to integrate your technologies. I put in a couple of opportunities around talent funding. There's a lot of talent funding out there, but these ones are specific around clean tech. So if you are a company with a job looking for a new grad, sorry about that. If you're looking for a new grad coming from STEM, there's a wage subsidy program out there to hire new grads, and it's about $15,000 a year wage subsidy per employer. That's called the Science Horizons Youth Internship Program, and it's run through BioTalent Canada. BioTalent Canada also has another program called the Green Jobs Wage Subsidy Program, and it is for employers with a green mandate. So this can be anyone from agriculture to an engineering firm. The subsidy is slightly lower. It's $13,500, and it's also to hire recent grads. And then there's AAFC, which has a wage subsidy program for on-farm jobs and not on-farm jobs that's related to green anything, really. You can massage the language around these to ensure that your organization fits. So I'm looking at the time. We're 2:28. I've got just a couple of slides to wrap up. Things I wanted to mention. We want New Brunswick companies to access these programs. I know the ones that are open, take a look at, ask us for some help. The ones that are coming into play, as they start to come into play, we will add them to our funding navigator. We would really like to try and help identify projects within the province to help companies, consortiums, groups either come together collectively or individually prepare proposals. And we would like to try and help shepherd some of these projects through the funding mechanisms that we just outlined. Let us know what you're working on and if it fits anything that we've talked about, because there's a lot of money on the table coming down the pipe federally primarily, and for Atlantic Canada to gain access to it, it's about your companies and organizations and research institutes coming to the table and telling us what it is that you're trying to do and allowing us to help shepherd those projects. All right. I did this in 30 minutes. Woohoo. Oh, that's great. So if you think you've got a project that might fit any of these streams, let us know. Send me an email. Give me a ring. We're on holidays next week, but I answer email all the time. And we are going to try and piece groups together if need be. We're going to try and help shepherd some projects, and we're going to try and help everyone access the money coming down the pipe. All right.
Yeah, so I'm just going to see if we have any questions here. But, there's still 2.5 days left in the week. Yeah. So you got to get, I think the message is to get on this, get a jump on it now for the new year. So let's see here if we have any questions. Doesn't look like it, but if you do, just put them into the chat box there.
And maybe I'll throw one more thing out there. I did mention that, there's a lot of money on the table or soon to be on the table for these projects. Don't let that slow down you as an organization with an opportunity, because come April 1st, the programs that have not been identified that will eventually I guess, be rolled out, that money is going to go really fast. And we anticipate it will actually be allocated within months. So haste, haste, haste. Do not wait. If you think you have projects that qualify, let us know.
One question, will we be sending out the slides? Yes, I'm going to send them out just after this, slides and a larger information package of all the programs with the links.
Si vous avez des questions en français, vous pouvez les poser aussi. All right. There's a couple of, I guess, just a couple of chats sort of coming in. If anyone has any more questions, and if we happen to time out before we answer them, feel free to send me an email or send it through info@bionb.org. That will work just as well. All right.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah, so please contact Megan directly if you have a product that you think might fit. Let's get access to some of this money.
If you want to contact us in confidence or contact me in confidence, I am happy to act as the sort of conduit for everyone's projects coming in. And if I see opportunities to collaborate, to put together a stronger project to access some of these funds, I will bring organizations together around the same table and allow you to introduce your projects to one another if I think that we can access a larger pot of money collectively.
A lot of interest. We had about 30 people today, which is pretty good for just before the break. So
Christmas webinar.
I think you'll be getting lots of calls. So. All right, everyone, thanks so much for taking the time, and we will hopefully talk to some of you soon, and happy holidays to everyone.